Good afternoon. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of November 25th. We're going to take a roll call to go into executive session. We will be coming back out of executive session. The purpose of executive session is to discuss contract negotiations with the Kraft organization and the World Cup around security and health issues. So roll call.
The official motion will move to, if you'll second, move to go into executive session as stated by the chair for negotiations and security reasons.
Second.
All in favor?
Mark,
Roll call.
yes?
Stephanie, yes.
Bill, yes?
Debbie, yes.
Amy, yes.
Thank you. To the November 25th, 2025 special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board, and we are now back in open session.
Bill, just for the heck of it, read that too,
Oh.
just so we don't get...
Yeah. Good afternoon. Welcome to the 11/25/25 board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Public Access. We don't- Okay. Well, we'll give you a chance to say your side of it, but we'll have a conversation after that. So we got your letter.
Do you want to set the table a little bit just for the viewers at home?
So basically, we've been asked to apply for a grant to cover the security, police and fire cost at the stadium during the World Cup. The grant is a federal grant, and it does have limitations to it and no guarantees as to who gets what out of it. The original concept was that we believed that the Kraft Group, or FIFA directly, was going to be the licensee. The Kraft Group obviously has a license with us, and we have a set of terms and understanding along that lines. But we now believe or understand that the Boston 26 is going to be the licensee for this World Cup event. Boston 26 is a group that exists now and just solely for the World Cup and will be gone once the World Cup ends. The requirement here is 39 days, including non-match days for security of the facility based on a special set of circumstances with what type of games will be played here and participants from all around the world. There are some significant concerns on the town side relative to the funding of this, which under the Kraft Group, we had a little bit less of a concern. However, we still have a concern for the funding up front. And therefore, we've asked to have this meeting to try to clarify this. The grant has to be applied for by tomorrow. We've only had about a week or so to assemble this information and try to put it together. And obviously, it can't cover all contingencies because we just don't know everything. We don't even know who's playing in Foxborough at the time. So that's where we stand.
Thank you, sir. So from Boston Soccer point of view, we are, exactly as you said, a nonprofit formed specifically to host assist in hosting the World Cup here in 2026. Our fundraising is purely through government funding, commercial funding, state and federal. On the federal side, we have been lobbying for 2 years for federal funding. Boston was an advocate for this probably in the beginning more than any other of the cities. The group of cities, 11 cities, was awarded $625 million, 46 to come to Boston. We understand the difficulties around the FEMA grant process. It is really a square peg in a round hole, and the only mechanism that we could get the $46 million allocated to be eligible. The town would need to apply, which would happen. Would have to happen by tomorrow. The application is non-binding. until FEMA were to approve the application and the town were to accept the application. So I think as a baseline, we're hoping that the application could get filed. We are working with the state to look at how the state would manage that submission. So right now, the grant applications would come into OGR, which is the state organization that manages grants. They would confirm compliance. We would then confer with the state to talk about the priorities. OGR would then submit that to FEMA. FEMA would then make the decision on who would receive the grant. We've had assurances that the most important recipients of these grants would be the public safety agencies that would be providing the core services to the tournament, and we would, of course, be advocating that Foxborough be the most important of those. If the grant were approved, the invoice process would go through B26 through to the federal government, and then the actual payments from that grant allocation would come out of B26. I think that it's important to recognize that the grant application is clearly not the contract to provide services, at least in our opinion. Sorry, I don't mean to be prescriptive of that, but we don't believe that the grant application is the contract for services, and we don't believe that the grant application is the license. Those two things, I think, are the next steps after the grant, or we would hope would be the next steps after, if you do choose to submit an application. And I think that's where all of the insurances would be provided. So we would be looking at how do we sort of manage surety of those funds. We've had conversations with the state. Even as yesterday, we spoke to the Lieutenant Governor about this, Chief Cook, Chief of Staff Cook, and Secretary Gerkowitz about this, and pointed out the need for the surety, and they recognize that small communities are not able to take this risk. So all in all, I think, from our perspective, we're asking that you do submit the grant. We do not see this as a binding situation. We do anticipate working with you all to come up with an appropriate contract that may have additional parties. We also, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm complete on all of this. We do believe that the licensee would be FIFA at this point. I'm not sure that, I'd have to double check what. Is this in?
This is the letter that was issued to them. So
Right, and
we have that.
and it does have FIFA will apply. So there was a letter sent just confirming that information, as far as we know it.
And you've got copies.
Sorry.
I can get
Yeah, you want to do copies here?
Would that assist
I'm
if I
sorry.
pass copies out of the letter? There was a letter
okay.
issued.
Yeah.
Would you like a copy?
No,
We have,
we have them.
Sorry, it's a lot to communicate, but in our mind, I think that the sureties to the town of Foxborough would come via a contract from Boston 26, possibly, other parties, and then the license at this point would be via FIFA. And I think that in both of those cases, we would be seeking to make sure that the town of Foxborough had surety on timing and payment.
so I guess I'm going to start by giving you some of our concerns. And we tried to explain this in a meeting we had last Thursday. But anybody other than the craft group licensing an event like this will have different issues that they're going to have to face within the license. I'll give you some very simple things right now. We have an insurance policy that covers police officers from the 27 communities that work for us. If the craft group is not the group licensing it, there will have to be a new policy. And based on the type of work that's going to be done, the level of security issues, I'm sure that policy is going to be fairly expensive. The town does not have the legal right to fund this upfront on our own. We can float, a concert or a single event between our year end and the following year, which typically would be a couple $100,000. But if our numbers are correct in what have been put together so far, we're at just about $6.7 million to cover the cost of the security as outlined by FIFA. And there is no legal way for us to fund that. We don't have a treasury that sits here. We don't have a budget that sits here for that. And, as has been noted, there are 6 games before June 30th, which is our fiscal year end, 3 of which will more than likely hit the current fiscal year, 3 of which will probably hit the second into our beginning of our next fiscal year. And so the biggest concerns we have, quite honestly, is that the town is not going to bear any cost for what is typically cost that we would push on to the craft organization for any event that we hold. And the costs are fairly significant, and that's our concern. So we're going to insist in our motion on a license being forwarded to us within the next month. We are going to, before the grant is accepted, we're going to either have a license and agreement in place, or we're not going to accept the grant if we so move forward on that. But overall, our concerns, again, is the benefit to the town, if we're even close in our estimate on what what we get, is about $1.6 million. We are not going on the hook for $6.7 million for the World Cup to be here in Foxborough. We are not a public-private entity like many of the other sites are. And therefore, we don't have, the state of Massachusetts backing us on this like the other, sites do. And I think because of that, we try to be very clear with the craft organization on what our expectations were, and we are apparently going on deaf ears on that, and it really concerns us, to be honest with you. The other side of it is, if we had to come up with the money, we would have to go to a town vote to get the money. And I have a hard time believing the town is going to vote to accept a risk financially, whether there's a grant or not. Because even if we apply for the grant based on the numbers that we have, if something happens where we have to incur additional cost, whether it's a participant that has a higher risk level and requires more timing, we're not incurring that cost. And that's got to be crystal clear to you guys overall. So if we can't come to a term that where there's funding up front and where all costs are covered, we can't approve the license. It's really that simple. And yes, you may have all kinds of options that you can try to go for, but it won't be under the guise of the town of Foxborough managing it. Any comments?
Nope, said perfectly.
Well said.
Yep, there was a lot of discussion, and I think, there's just, like Bill said, there's no way we can, take the risk, and there was some discussion about not even applying for the grant, just letting it go, but, we want to do our part to make this work with you guys, so I think we're comfortable with applying for the grant, but like Bill said, all those stipulations will have to be met before we'll accept the grant.
And I think what was missed, though, is that concern about the solvency of Boston Soccer.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think, Bill kind of alluded to it, but, and no disrespect to the folks at the table, but you're an entity created for this event, and by the time, we might be seeking the bulk of our funding, you perhaps could be disbanded. And we know you've had your own funding challenges, and we know you're going to have lots of people, lots of entities seeking funding assurances. So I think what the board discussed heavily was that Boston Soccer alone can't guarantee this. That there's just not enough resources in your coffers to really provide the security that the town of Foxborough needs.
And we understand that. We're making no representations that we are not a small nonprofit. And I think what you've laid out, we appreciate the plan to go forward with the grant. We absolutely will start on Monday to try to understand how best to apply the surety to find the right parties to ensure that your funding is secure and that it will be paid in a timely manner. And that'll be, our efforts over the next month to, well, sorry, I just want to double check one thing. I do believe that, the award will probably take until January
30th.
January 30th, and we're hoping that we would have enough time to make sure that it might not be easy to put all of this together, but, we'll do our best to make sure that we can support the
Well, we
license.
think the application is relatively simple, so that's not the issue. The licensing that comes out of the application may be a little bit more difficult to resolve. I think again, I want to be very clear, we're not looking for surety. We're looking for financial upfront money because we don't have a budget. We are a state, or local entity that falls under the state of Massachusetts, laws relative to spending. And without a budget, which there is no $6.7 million budget sitting in the town of Foxborough right now for World Cup, there is virtually no way for us to expend the money, appropriately. So this is not, it's not really a hard concept. It's unfortunately what it is what it is. So, and again, the town, I have a really strong feeling, will not go to a town meeting to vote to put itself on the hook for that money. Because we'd have to take it from all of our reserves everywhere, and, quite honestly, would cost us quite a bit of money to just deal with that, so. Want to make the motion?
Yep.
Oh, wait a second. Jess, do you have anything that you'd like to add for the grant side?
Just that going to town meeting, we completely understand and hear what you're saying. It's a complex, moving target that we're all collectively working through. And I'm here as a representative of One Patriot Place, understanding that we're not the operator of this series of events, but, I'm sure that we'll get to a place where the town can move forward, license the event, and feel comfortable and feel assured. And, going to the town to expect them to incur any sort of financial inconvenience for FIFA is absolutely not our intent. And so we'll come to the table in good faith and do what we need to do to get everybody comfortable and to know that we can move forward. We appreciate the gesture of submitting the grant. I think it's an important, it's an important step that we all need to take forward, but it's quite literally just the first, and it's a very small one. And, we all sitting at this end of the table, understand that.
Okay, yep. Move to allow the town staff to submit the grant application through the 2026 FIFA World Cup Grant Program to cover cost of security and public safety services, subject to full license application due to the town by 1/2/25.
26.
26, oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. And I'm reading 26, thank you. Number 2, further expect all police, fire, and security services will be paid to the town of Foxborough upfront.
Should we add in there, sorry, including capital? Nothing says there in capital, so.
Yes, well, the capital would have to, because we can't expend the money without it.
Right, so just to maybe add that in there.
Expect all public, police, fire, security, and capital expenses will be paid to the town of Foxborough upfront. And third, insurance, comparable policies must be in place to cover these events and all 39 plus or minus days.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
You should do, you have to do roll call.
Oh,
'cause
roll call,
Amy's-
sorry.
Oh, that's right. Mark, yes?
Stephanie, yes.
Bill, yes.
Debbie, yes.
You're muted.
Amy, yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Now the work begins.
Yeah. Yeah, move to adjourn if that's,
Second.
Okay, favor?
Mark, yes?
Stephanie, yes?
Bill, yes?
Debbie, yes.
Amy, yes.
All right.